Yeah. They'll turn it on. Let me have your.
The meeting called to order at 6:31. Approval of minutes, public hearing, February 26, 2026, on a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Matt, is there a second?
Second.
Doug, any discussion on those minutes?
Who's second? Doug.
Stephen, any comments on the minutes?
No, I was just looking to be sure. No, I think, yep, all good. Okay. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so. On regular meeting,
After we do the minutes, can we seat seat alternates?
yes.
Okay.
I'll add it.
Yeah, and then we had to add something else to the agenda. I just didn't know if we were supposed to do that before the minutes or not. So.
All good.
Yeah,
Okay.
motion for regular meeting minutes, February 26, 2026.
So
Stephen, is there a second?
second.
Doug, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Seat alternate for, who are we missing? Just Vincent?
Eileen.
Oh, Eileen, yes, so we have, so we have two spots open. So a motion to fill those two spots, Stephen, you wanna?
I'd like to make a motion to seat Mark Rosen for Vince and to seat Kathy for Eileen. Please.
So, I'm sorry, but
Then
if Vince is
retired.
expired, then how can we seat for a member that's no longer has a term?
Oh, okay, then we can't. So then we'll just seat.
It's a very valid point.
So we'll just seat Kathy then for Eileen. Sorry, Mark, I was trying.
So close. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Matt, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I so moved. Addition to agenda. I proposed, we'll do them one at a time here. River Road Homes, site plan renewal, annual renewal. Oh, it's already
Yeah.
on. Oh, I have the other copy. I'm sorry. I have my, free.
Yes.
I gave it to Jim.
Mine's good.
I'm gonna take that away. Stephen?
I'd like to add that to seat a new member or to have a new member for our commission. Kathy has been so lovely as an alternate and expressed interest in becoming our new member.
So we'll call it
New member.
replacement of Vincent as a time member from alternate pool, something like.
Sure, well, it's his term is over, so
Yeah.
it'll be my question though is it her alternate term that goes into her term? No, it's a brand new term and alternate's canceled. So it'll be a new 5-year term, sorry.
Yeah, 25, yeah, that's right.
That's-
Full 25 years. So when we get to that, we'll, I guess it would be today's date, because Vincent has expired. Motion was made, we didn't vote on that, right?
Yeah. A second.
Is there a second?
A second.
Tim, any discussion?
Who made the motion? You?
Stephen,
Oh, Steve and Ken.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So item B, C. Any other suggestions for additions? Do we want to add anything that's already on there again? Moving on, public comment, any public comment? Hi, public. Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody's commented.
New business, item A, IAC regulation review. So as we discussed in our last meeting, kind of spurred from a public comment, something that we've been thinking and talking about from, for a while now. And then, ongoing confusion with our own regs compared to what the state regs were, and in discussion with Janelle and you guys last meeting, we thought that we need to get back at Janelle kind of reworking our regulations concerning the IHC zone. IHC. So she has done so. No, by no means do we need to, if we get through this and make action, so be it, but you know, if it becomes a lengthy discussion, we can roll it over into next month's discussion if we get to a point where we need to think about something, talk about something, research something. And so we'll see where the discussion brings us. So now, do you want to kind of start? I mean, I think we kind of have to kind of go through it, right?
Happy to, yeah, certainly. So to jump in, this is an excerpt from the existing regulations. And the document that's circulated is just a strike through that hopefully everyone has in front of them. So some of the changes are just to make the regulations more in line with what Connecticut General Statutes Chapter 124B actually says. You'll see that under purpose. There's just some word changes. One being to provide incentives for municipalities to create zones allowing as of right higher density mixed income housing, rather than the term for the development of workforce and starter housing. We'll renumber, so number 2 will say to increase affordable housing, because that's really what the objective would be. And then that's affordable housing availability. And then number 3, for simplicity's sake, to the foster development in areas suited for growth in accordance with the state plan of conservation and development and the town of Falls Village town plan of conservation and development. I got rid of some of the language to promote well-designed projects, which will enhance and support historic character. That's not really the objective of what the IHZ is, nor is it supported further by the statute. So that simplifies the purpose, which is taken right from the statutes. Yep.
Can we have a definition in our definitions for mixed income housing?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great one.
I just want to make sure that because that's in there, I like the wording of it. I just want to make sure we define that.
Great call.
Oh,
And Stephen, just to your point, not to jump around, mixed income housing, not to jump around this document too much, but a provision of the regulations, it's on, you get into section G, which I'm sorry, these pages weren't numbered.
yeah, I have some stuff.
Yeah, it's, so because it's an excerpt from the regulations, I didn't renumber them, but for purposes of reviewing this document, it's helpful to have numbers. It's actually page 4. The number of incentive housing units is not less than 100% of housing units constructed shall be incentive housing units. It might be better for us to say like what percentage need to be affordable, and getting back to your definition of mixed income.
That's what I thought, yeah, so that was where my another question.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you for that segue. So under definitions, administering agency is sort of the first one with red. Yeah.
It's just, as you
Yeah.
get to a section, just make
Let's
sure there's no
love
other questions. Sorry to take the stride.
No, it's great.
Mine is only, this is excessively minor. I'm just wondering if to not slow down the conversation, if maybe when we're done, I can get with you just to get like mixed income should be hyphenated and things that are capitalized, that shouldn't be stuff like that. Cause if we're going to redo it, it'd be nice if it was right. And I just happen to have an AI tool on my thing that's showing me those things easy. So
It's so helpful.
It
I
is.
like the consistency with our current regulations, because I do find some of the inherited formatting is a little long.
Agreed, yes. But if I just save all that till the end and we can, because it's nothing consequential with content.
No, but it's helpful nonetheless.
Just to do it when we're cleaning it up, we might as well.
Why not? Yeah, exactly.
Great. Anybody else have a question, comment on purpose? All right, great. Thank you.
No problem. So for definitions, getting directly into administering agency, we have drafted a letter which was put forth to the Board of Selectmen, telling them that the Planning and Zoning Commission is really not appropriate to be the administering agency. So reworking that definition, it's now with the approval of the Town of Falls Village Planning and Zoning Commission, the developer of an incentive housing development shall designate a qualified organization to review and implement affordability requirements affecting incentive housing developments under section G of this regulation. So it's not so much requiring that the P and Z is doing it. So that's that first adjustment. Then developable land, which if we're gonna have to decide if we want to capitalize both words or just leave one not. Just getting into, I mean, nothing major, just capitalizing Connecticut general statutes throughout. And then also steep slopes, making it very specific, grades in excess of 20%, which is standard of our regulations. Duplex, I'm including dwelling units, because if it's not there, it could be something else.
No, that's very necessary,
Okay,
please.
yeah, moving forward, incentive housing zones, I called back to the statute. Cause it's a zone or a zone adopted by the P and Z in accordance with, not particularly this section, but more so the overarching Connecticut general statutes. Which would be, that chapter, it's actually 124B,
E as in boy.
B as in boy.
Let's see that.
Yep, and then incentive housing development. I'm leaving all of these definitions the same. Adding in under median income, town of Canaan parentheses Falls Village, because that's tend to be how we've started to refer to the town. And then certainly we can add in a mixed income housing definition, making sure that that can be. And Stephen, just to make sure I'm clear on your point, a mix of at market rate houses and
Well,
affordable.
that's what I was wondering, just to be more clear and to also open it up to, I guess, better opportunity.
I got it.
So
Yeah,
that was more of what my concern was based around, and then that was connected to the 100% part and how we wanted to use that language later. So
awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, no, and I'll incorporate that into the crafting of a definition that that's your intention.
Great.
So that it's some market rate with a mix of other maybe workforce and or affordable.
Yeah, just I wanted to make sure that we weren't making our point too narrow, because the builders are gonna be the ones that come up with what they want, and I don't want to pigeonhole it as much.
Got it.
Thank
And then multifamily, just simplifying, and then open space, so really making sure that that is that is aligned with Connecticut General Statutes Section 23(8), which really outlines the criteria for open space, which helps a lot. Townhouse housing, I find to be redundant. So if we want to change that terminology, that's fine. Would love to know if the commission is strong into capitalizing when we have two words rather than one.
Most of the rest of them seem to be that way.
Yeah, agreed. So why don't we carry that over?
Yeah.
I am not a fan of townhouse housing, but we can leave it be. Yeah, it's just townhome housing, right? Yeah, anyway, minor points.
Fine.
Location of incentive housing zone, so it is an overlay. I think it's important to call that out, because that's exactly what it is. And it is now depicted by our town's GIS mapping. I can hot link to the map page, the landing page there, just to modernize our regulations as much as possible, and to remind people that there's a map that ties into our regulations. Applicability, I'm changing where it says provisions of this regulation. I'm referring to it as section because it's actually a section within the regulation and not a regulation itself. Persnickety things, but in permitted uses, never have I ever seen site plan abbreviated by SPA. So I have changed that so that it just simply says site plan to cut down on any sort of confusion, or misunderstanding. And then related accessory buildings, structures as accessory structures and are subject to permit approvals. Proper permitting is just not a word choice that I would tend to use because it's unclear. Uses not expressly allowed are hereby prohibited. And then when we get into our site plan application, do you want me to pause? Because I've just blown through a whole bunch
Yeah,
of sections.
You did, but I didn't, I was good with it, because, anybody?
I do, I have a question on the, back it up a little, underlying zone. Well, halfway down,
Yeah,
fourth
great.
line or so, it starts. Within the boundaries of the IHZ, a developer may elect either to develop an incentive housing development in accordance with the requirements of the IHZ as described in this regulation. Or to develop a project in accordance with the requirements of the regulations for use, dimension, and other provisions of the zoning regulation governing the underlying zone. Excuse me, zoning district. So what's the distinction?
I don't thank you for calling out this not. So essentially, it's just getting back to the concept of being an overlay.
Right.
So either one can apply the overlay, the IHZ in this particular case, and be granted all of the provisions of this section, have a higher density than the existing zone, which I believe is agricultural residential,
Yeah.
or just stick with what that underlying zone is. I think we may be able to achieve a clearer way of stating that.
Yeah, it's a little,
I agree.
okay.
So why don't I rework that last sentence? Essentially, all it's saying is,
If you don't choose IHC, you can use.
And I think that's important for a developer or a builder to know that if they want to build $3 million homes on that property, they don't have to build
Better opportunity.
within the IHZ regulations. So, I mean, I think that's important,
If you argue that, yeah.
right? Or not?
no, correct. And you know what, Stephen? So I was sort of pigeonholed into working with the existing language. I would much prefer just to explain what an overlay is. Back in location of incentive housing zone and calling it out as an overlay, and then maybe even crossing through number 2 underlying zoning because it's already been captured. And then applicability is just going to be an applicant may seek development of an incentive housing zone within the IHZ as contained in these regulations. So I don't mind kind of wordsmithing that a little bit. We've used the term overlay, and I think I've had a recent memo that
Okay.
kind of breaks it down.
Yeah, I just want it to be there if we ever have other IHZs or if something ever happens, I wanna make sure that we're not making it one thing.
Smart, yeah. And good
Great.
point. Any wonky sentences too, I think I've left them alone.
Yeah.
And to the earlier point, we're going to fix it, we might as well fix it, yeah.
Totally.
Okay, so is there anything in E under permitted uses other than just changing the acronym SPA to site plan? Okay, site plan application, so in accordance with is much more common than in compliance with. Site plan approval is just a word choice thing. Applicant, a complete application and accompanying site plan and the applicable fee. I find that to be a little bit more clear than whatever that's written there. Project as described in the application meets all requirements and standards set forth in incentive housing overlay regulation. Project conforms to applicable design standards and any adverse potential impacts from the development have been adequately addressed and properly mitigated. So just a little bit more succinct language choice. Modifications to the site plan has been brought to the front because you actually can't condition a site plan approval pursuant to statutes, so you can modify them. Modifications to the site plan shall be imposed on an incentive housing development by the commission only as necessary to ensure compliance with this section. And as everyone knows, you're very aware, you can only tell an applicant to modify their plan if it doesn't comply. Waivers, which are applicable here pursuant to statute, upon request of the applicant, commission may waive. And I like to put that actually, I want to add upon request of the applicant in writing, because I think that's super important. The commission may waive dimensional standards, setbacks, lot coverage, parking ratios, and road design standards in the interest of design flexibility and overall project quality upon a finding of the following. And then we get into the reasons that waivers can be granted, and that's consistency of the variation with the overall purpose and objectives of the IHC. A waiver is necessary to allow the project, and I struggle a little bit with the capital P project. Such waiver is necessary to allow. I think just the density is just fine there. The density, affordability, and or physical character allowable under this section. There are compelling reasons of safety, aesthetics, or site design issues, or that it will result in improved project in conformance with the purpose and intent of this article. I am not in love here with a lot of the language, and I don't mind actually going back to the statutes and just pulling forward what's in the statutes for waivers.
Yeah, and even that.
Or the legally question on a waiver.
Yeah.
If we're giving waivers that we have stated here that are specific waivers, is that open us up to other waivers? If I'm willing to talk about this subject or that subject, and I'm not willing to talk about another subject, can someone say, well, you're giving waivers for this stuff, can't we discuss this as a possible waiver?
It's very much defined in statutes, thankfully. So there are waivers, there's very limited waiver grants ability by the commission where you basically say, we're gonna have a little bit of flexibility in our regulations, although we don't normally do this. The two instances that I automatically can think of are your subdivisions. So the applicant can request a waiver, and we're very specifically constrained by the statutes.
Okay.
And the same goes for IHZ, and the statutes call it out, which is why I actually, at second glance of this, I want to just pull that language directly from the statutes.
Okay, that would be great, because
Yeah.
I'm sort of nervous about putting waiver language in there and how it could be used in other ways.
Absolutely, especially the language. I like to take the language directly from the statutes so that we're as concise as we can be. There's a lot of case law around this type of stuff.
Perfect, thank you.
No, happy. Before I move on to the next section, any other questions? Okay, so housing and housing affordability, I highlighted 100%. This is very specific to the regulations that have been crafted for this town. The statutes require 30, and that it's limit so that the deed restriction is there for 30 years to qualify as affordable. So
Can you say that one more time?
yeah, so in the statutes, in the establishment of an IHC zone, it allows for 30% as your minimum threshold of what's affordable.
So it's a 30 and 30.
Yeah, and then the term would be a term of 30 years. Yeah, for the qualification into that affordable housing list for the purposes of the affordable housing appeals. So just so everyone knows, I highlighted that because this regulation is specific to Falls Village. And I think rather than call them out as incentive housing units, to make sure that incentive housing units gets defined as housing occupied by eligible households sold or rented at or below, so it's basically saying affordable housing. So it's certainly just a word choice. But just so the commission knows, you are allowed to have a lower threshold than 100%.
Well, that was my question. If we're using that mixed income term earlier in it, I don't necessarily know if we want to limit the hundred. I think 100%, if we're trying to sort of promote other options, I'm nervous about we're using language one way in one place and then we're restricting it in another. I don't know how to come up with a percentage though, so that was sort of what I wanted to ask
Well,
the group about a little bit.
and I think it beckons the question. Originally, it was crafted at 100%, meaning in the IHC zone, we wanted 100% affordability. Do we want to maintain that? And if so, we can maintain that here and do away with the mixed income definition earlier.
That's what I was trying to.
Because we are definitely at odds with each other
Good point.
with that.
I think keeping it at 100%, right? And then you think about trying to encourage development, affordable housing development. Keeping it at 100% is going to mean that only projects that have grants and nonprofits are going to do it, right? That no developer is going to come in off the street and say, "Oh, I can make money on doing a project that is 100% affordable." If we say 50%, then he could build 50% market rent, 50% affordable, and we're probably more apt to see some kind of development come in, and because they think they can make money on it, right? But if we say 100% affordable in those zones, it's going to be harder to get projects done.
So bear in mind how limited the IHC currently is. It may be a consideration of the commission as you're exploring the update to the regulations, the possibility of the overlay being applicable elsewhere.
Well, that was where my question sort of lied, is if we're redoing this and if we're trying to do this, if it could happen again, I want to make sure we answer some of these questions now, so we're not having to do it again. And that's why I sort of brought up that question at the beginning of the mixed income. How are we rectifying that later or not?
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think Kathy makes a great point as far as if we were to expand. We already know the project that is proposed there, what the bones of it are. That's not really a discussion. It's if we were to expand in another IHC zone.
and we just do that later? Is that what we think as a that's what I'm asking, sort of as a group? Do we want to make decisions for later now, or do we want to
Well, I
make the
think-
now decisions now
I
and
think
then
the
discuss it
I
again?
think for later now's the time.
Okay, so then my
Because
question,
we have to be really clear, like to delineate proposed projects on our only current IHC compared to what our regulations are for an IHC.
so then I have a question for Janelle based off of that idea is, are state statutes changing where an IHZ will not be used the next time around for an affordable housing project? Or will we as a commission do another type of overlay zone? Is that what's moving forward?
No, it's a great question. So having not been involved with the first process of getting your IHC overlay, I am not closely familiar with the IHC. There are more newer ways of creating affordable housing as we've seen.
So that's what I was trying to figure out, is how much
Others-
work are we doing on the IHC if we may not be using that form later? So
Got it.
that was part
Yeah.
of my discussion.
And as you know, that big housing bill is in the pipe right now, and that, from what I've been seeing and understanding, is that that would enable affordable housing in different ways that are not in this overlay fashion. We all know about 830G, where also an applicant can come in and basically just say, like, we're putting this housing with density here. It's yet to be seen in Falls Village. But certainly what you're saying, where you're sort of like, is this aging out? as
Right,
a
I didn't
way
know
to
if we should, how far into the
incentivize?
future are we really thinking, or should we just bang out what we're trying to do here and be done. So
Yeah.
that was sort of.
I mean, my thinking, Stephen, is it is. For now, it's in a limited area in town. The application process seemed to have been a bit rigorous back then. And my understanding is with all the push from the state to enable more housing diversity, that we will find other mechanisms for creation of new housing. The commission's been pretty proactive yourselves just recently with looking at some of the housing regulations that we'll discuss later with more creative ways that are sort of less going to the state, asking for an overlay, making sure we can do this with the density, having that application that might be a little bit more locally driven than what we've seen. But really up to you if you think that the IHZ would be a useful tool to
Well, that was my
expand
question, then, do we
elsewhere.
wanna forget about the mixed use? Do we wanna just go to 100%? Do we wanna just make it because we understand what the project is? Or do we wanna spend time really
I mean, my,
figuring this part out?
up completely for discussion, my thought is, let's just make it so we could use it. There are things in the works that we already know about, things are changing, but we have a regulation in there anyhow. It's not, I don't think it's too wasteful of time to kind of rework it. Looking at it a little bit differently, but that's just my opinion, I'm completely open for others to say what they think.
Well, then do we wanna take out the mixed income use?
It's kind of where we're at, you know, I think Mackie made a good point of why we would have it there. Cause we don't, again, we don't have that crystal ball to say, if we were to create another IHC, that we would have someone Habitat or Fall Village Housing that would want to take on that project. Maybe we would want an outside or some other entity to build it with these, with.
Oh, totally, and I
So if we do
actually
that-
like the idea of a
So if we
different
do
percentage,
that,
because then we can
should
just
maybe-
offset costs.
We should maybe go along that route, which I think I'm gonna be more favoring.
Oh, I agree with that. And it gives opportunity to build a couple $1 million homes and then do affordable housing, and then you can offset costs in the community, which I sort of start to get nervous about as well, is the more affordable housing we build, the more burden it becomes on the community.
So we have the state that says, statute that says minimum of 30. We have. Kind of Canaan Falls Village regulation says 100. Any suggestions on a number in between, or one or the other?
Is it, percentages as in like volume size or bedrooms or unit, what
Number of
is?
units,
Or it would be a unit thing?
because you rent houses as a unit or you sell houses as a unit.
Kathy, do you have an opinion of what you think a developer would a 50-50 split?
I would say somewhere between 30 and 50, right? Certainly the lower the number, the more we're gonna entice a developer to come in, because they can build at market rates and get paid for those units at a higher rent or sales price. But at the same time, right, we really want more affordable housing, so, I would say somewhere between 30 and 50.
I like the idea of the lower number simply because I also think it's important to have a I don't know what the right word is, but multi-income people all living together. We don't wanna skew this experience into just affordable housing, and I think it really does give a developer, builder, or even a local charity an opportunity to stick within what the community looks like and not just put up a bunch of townhomes, could make them homes, could do different things. I think it would open it up a lot more.
And a lot of the projects that I manage for my job, it's 20% of the units have to make either 80 or 50% of AMI. So it is a smaller chunk of units. And that helps them offset, right? So
So the 30 number is the state.
the state number, yeah. So we couldn't go below 30, but we
Right,
could
that's
do
the-
30 or 40 or.
And it's just not less than, so certainly if there's a project like one I think we have in mind that's going to do 100,
No, it's right,
it's
totally.
perfectly allowed.
So is it 40 or is it 50? Do we have a thought?
Opinions, Doug?
I don't know. I mean, some areas, I think it's all true that you want, a lot of developers to look at it and maybe come in and do something. In this region, we're not seeing a lot of that anyway, in this town especially. But affordable housing is the issue. So I'd lean a little bit higher, I guess, just to try to maintain some of the, because the housing prices are going up like crazy around here and it's pushing people away. So if we're gonna offer something affordable, then let's open it up enough to get some results, I guess.
So when you're saying higher, are you skewing higher than 50 in your mind?
I don't know enough about it relatively. I think 100, now that I'm listening to all of it, does sound like you just cut off anybody that was profit motivated so much. Which I think if we're all proponents, and we are, I believe, of affordable housing, that's great. But yeah, I guess I would go more like 50, 60, maybe somewhere in that range. And you would know better by experience, but I think that's a balance at least.
Mhm.
The other part of it is when you're taking away the IHC incentives that the state may offer, most developers aren't getting incentives of any kind to speak. So you're kind of talking about a rare bird around here.
I'm working with a few developers and they are finding some motivation to build a mix
Yeah,
or senior. But mixed.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think I'd
That's
probably
an
go
interesting
towards
word. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting word is senior, right? Because we know the demographics of the Northeast.
Well, Falls Village specifically.
Well, I mean, you can, all the towns around.
Obviously, we're just
The
looking.
young hip Cornwall, what do you mean?
Sharon's old, Cornwall old. Solve the
Jim, you have a,
I was intrigued by saying that some developers actually they're looking at this number. And I don't know what other communities around us have, just go over the other border and we don't get any of that housing here, but it just goes, if somebody else has 40% or 50%, not 60. If we really want to encourage it, I think trying to keep that number a little lower may open some more opportunities. I don't think a ton of people are gonna.
And we do have large swaths of land in a sense in our community that could or could not be developed in
down
interesting
the line a
ways
little bit.
if we were creative with this opportunity. I really find that there's a value to this. The original point of this IHZ really was to find a developer who wanted to put in 3 big homes to offset 10 homes down at the bottom. And that was really the original idea when Rohrback came in 2013 to try to bring some state funding to the project. So I like the 50% idea so that we are a little more flexible, but I kind of almost defer to Kathy in a way. If she's really saying you won't even go lower, I'm willing to talk about 40. Because I do want to make sure that if this is a future thing and we're trying to be future thinking, that we do keep our options open.
I like Tim's point about maybe seeing what the other towns in the area are doing, to make sure that we're not. I think the 30 to 50% makes a lot of sense, but just to make sure we're not out of alignment. And to your point, somebody just jumping to a different town simply because they have a more attractive percentage,
right?
If we're really trying to use that number as something that helps attract it here, then
Right.
we should know what everybody else is, what's the
Yeah.
going rate.
I agree.
Great.
I think that's a great point.
Matt, what are your thoughts? I don't want to leave you out.
I appreciate the inclusion. Um. I have similar thoughts. I agree with the 30 to 50, but it's also a big jump from the 100 where we're at. I like Tim's point of checking with the other towns because I honestly don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But It'd probably be pretty similar in the amount of projects that are going on. I don't, but again, I trust, I mean, you're in this realm, so like, yeah, and again, if a group wanted to come in and do 100, they can. But if maybe it's more, and again, maybe that would actually bring something to life faster than, I know everything will, come to life, but like, yeah,
The flexibility.
the flexibility to actually have something there in a spot, you can start to see it take shape or,
Mhm.
that's pretty cool to actually have some of those take up. So
Mark,
I would be, I don't know, yeah, 40 to 50, maybe not going to the minimum, but again, I'd like to see what the other towns are looking like.
Mark, do you have any comment that you wanna bring to this?
No, I think it is good to bring in more people. Um, but we seem to be in a cycle of impossibility of figuring out the numbers.
Agreed.
I'm
Yeah, I
not
mean,
great at that either, so.
For all of us, it's kind of a gut feeling guess. You have the most,
for sure.
experience going in there, and
That's why we're
that
so
make us
happy.
thinking
Could
about
be a
it.
come-
It's good.
Next
really
meeting, we
important
can,
have
do
your
some digging
understanding.
and
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I also deferred, but I think I would hedge more towards the 50 to kind of force it. I don't know, I guess not knowing, but we'll
Let's do some
just kind of put a place marker there.
Perfect.
See if we can do research of surrounding areas.
I was just actually perusing in Sharon, I know that's another town with an IMC. I'm perplexed because they're at 20%, so I believe the statutes is no less than 30%.
Unless you're Sharon.
Unless you're the town of Sharon, but that I do know, I'll do some other research about neighboring towns that have IHCs, some do not.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, for sure.
So we'll just kind of circle back and then.
some don't even have an IM.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because they don't want it.
Because they're finding other ways to
Bill.
work with affordable housing or it's
Okay.
not a requirement. Not at all.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go outside of the board just to kind of keep this working, because we have invited you here. So the way I'd ask is, we'll confer first, and I know Jandy, you had something earlier you wanted to say. So I want to invite you to speak freely, like I think this is kind of open, but I just ask that we do the work and then reach out. So just raise your hand and let us know.
I wanted to talk about some definitions,
Okay.
to see if it was helpful.
I'm okay going back to definitions. Let's do it. And that way we can just go through the document and then circle back at the next meeting or something.
So there are a couple of things like affordability. Affordable housing
Whatever.
means that 30% of your income, no matter what your income is, 30% of your income pays for you to live there, plus your utilities and fuel and all that. That's affordable. Many of us are not living, we're house burdened. So that's what affordable means. It doesn't mean. It could mean somebody in a mansion. Is that affordable to them? Affordable does not mean what has been used in the last few minutes here. Mixed income housing is, as described, some of it would be 100%. But even if it doesn't mean mansions, it means the whole incentive housing is for multi-family housing. We're not talking about separate ones. We're talking about the same kind of housing. And some people pay market rate. And then the rest of the people are also mixed income because they go from 80% of AMI down to 25% AMI. For instance, that's what we have at the apartments. We have 2 at 80%, 2 at 50%, and 1 at 25. So that in itself is its own little mixed income housing. Do you see what I'm saying? So there really is more than one definition. It depends whether you're talking about adding market rate, which I think you were, but there isn't a separate fancier building for the people who can pay that much. Everybody's getting good looking apartments or units
Legally, you can't build that way.
Yeah.
with the mansions there.
So in any sort of development, if you do have a varying of incomes, they all are built to the same code, they're all
Exactly.
built to the same specs. We're very aware of
No
that.
class system
No.
in the development.
That's understood.
Yeah, okay, well, I heard something from Steve that made me.
Oh, no, I just thought, I actually thought that you could build nice homes for people to buy the nice home on top of the hill, and then you could have the mixed
No,
use at the
no
bottom.
class, no class.
Oh, interesting.
No,
Okay.
they're all mixed.
Sure. Oh, no, I wasn't saying nice or bad. I was more saying you could have different opportunities based in an IHC. That was all of what I was trying to say.
Well,
And you
that
can't.
was one of the things I wanted
Great.
to say.
No, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
That,
Yeah.
I just thought it might make the rest of the conversation easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we left off at Z1. Still by three.
So it sounds like that's a pending.
That's a pending.
Pending. TBD, I will keep it highlighted. Administering agency, so again, in keeping with the referral that was sent to the Board of Selectmen, this would change, and this was a really big piece of why we're even doing this exercise in the first place, is so that the P and Z is not designated as the administering agency, but it would be the developer that would designate a qualified organization, and then the P and Z would approve that. And then that qualified organization would be in charge with A through E, which certainly would be way more appropriate that a qualified organization is doing than we ourselves as the P and Z, or you yourself as the P and Z would be doing. The submission requirements, I'm getting away from any sort of building permit. We don't issue building permits, nor do we sign off on building compliance. So getting out of that realm and getting into the zoning realm. So upon completion of construction of and I'll capitalize incentive housing development to keep with what the rest of the document does. The issuance of a zoning cert of completion would be the precursor, and then we would require that the application is submitting documents to the administering agency that shows compliance. So we would be purview, you as the P and Z with your agent would be purview to these documents prior to the issuance of a zoning certificate of compliance. We have no control over what the building inspector is doing. So I just wanted to get that out of there. And then cost and eligibility, again, it has to comply, but not so much that we would be enforcing that. And then again, getting away from the building permit and more so into the granting of a zoning cert of compliance, any structure the applicant has to demonstrate to the satisfaction of the administering agency and to this P and Z commission that the method by which the rents and the purchase prices are computed are consistent with the state federal guidelines. So this is keeping the P and Z very much in the realm, but not being in charge of administering. Design and construction, obviously housing units need to be finished. They have to be dispersed throughout the incentive housing development of which they are part and be comparable in initial construction quality. This is to John D's recent point, and exterior design of other housing units in the incentive housing development, all units created equal. Incentive housing restrictions, so it's subject to incentive housing restriction, which is recorded with the appropriate registry of deeds and which contains the following. This has the no less than 30 years, which is required by Connecticut general statutes. We get into the contact information, descriptive of the units, by address, number of bedrooms, quantity, number of bedrooms. I have kept all of this pretty much in keeping with what the original language was. If anyone thinks we should change anything, certainly let me know. A lot of this is very much not. Aside from having the deed restriction, the P and Z really won't be too integrally involved in the formula to create the rent. So we can always take this out if you think that it's better to just take this out,
Are you talking like most of this section?
most of the section. It's
Because I don't think it's even germane.
agreed, honestly.
Because if we leave it in, then in essence, it puts onus on us to
Good point.
oversight or the work of
Good
the
point.
administrating agency.
Good point. I think the first point is important, that
The
the
third
specific,
year,
yeah, that the incentive housing restriction, and we can certainly make this a line once the commission decides what affordability threshold you want to achieve, that it aligns so that there's a specification of the term and the percentage of the units, but that's really all that you as the P and Z is, you're going to want to administer. So that would be
and
great.
that, you know, the most of this is probably set by state statute for an IC, which is what the administrative agency is doing anyhow.
100%, and it changes, but that's for the administering agency to deal with. So there'd be no waiver notwithstanding anything to the contrary herein. The affordability provisions in this section shall not be waived. I think that's inherent. It's the whole point of the IHC, but I think why not state the obvious? Pausing.
I think the only thing I have to say is just to reassure everyone by taking, you know, I understand what the original intent was by having building permit and whatnot. But we still have that same hit the brakes, make sure things are in order, because you can't get a CO without the zoning certificate of compliance, right?
Depending on your building official, yes.
Duly noted and heard. Yeah.
Legally, by pursuant to statute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not just being like bossy authoritarian. It's legal.
So I just wanted to get that on.
Yeah, good
Make
point.
sure everybody recognizes that we're not giving away anything. We already have it. We're just cleaning it up. And making it legal, while it's still legal.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
Okay. So I appreciate cleaning up all of the housing restrictions, the no waiver, IHC development standards, so density requirements, the suggestions just evolve around the original application. I think this was a very large talking point of the last meeting. If my memory stands correct, I believe the single detached dwelling units that both applications put forth in either, whether it's a single family detached or duplex or townhouse, my understanding was that was 14.
14.
And then no need to panic, because then if you get into wanting more, there is a density waiver. So under H1A, there's a density waiver for nonprofit or municipally owned land. So density requirements may be waived by the P and Z if the land to be zoned for incentive housing is owned or controlled by the municipality itself, an agency thereof, a land trust, a housing trust, or a nonprofit housing agency or corporation. To qualify for the waiver, 100% of the proposed residential units must be subject to, and again, probably gonna put this in capitalizations, IH restriction.
And here we're okay going to 100% because that's not the same number as we're talking about originally.
This is
Because
to
now
qualify
it's
for the waiver.
for a
To
waiver.
Qualify, yeah.
Mike, again, I'm gonna ask the waiver question. If we're putting any type of restriction on anything, could we end up with a back and forth over waiver, legally?
Always,
Meaning, could they come and say, well, you know, you didn't grant us the 24 units and we're gonna take you to court to try to get the 24 units?
always,
Okay.
absolutely. You're always open to that.
Okay.
If you were to deny a waiver as a commission, I would tie it to factual information as to why you're denying it. So if there's a traffic study that shows units from 20 to 30% is going to make the use of a particular road untenable, if there's a bridge on the road, blah, 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 blah. If you could substantiate the waiver with specifics, less vulnerable.
Mhm.
But certainly
Is it important for us to have a waiver?
you have to,
Have to, period. Okay.
it's
I
a,
just, I'm nervous about the legality of if we make a thing and then they want more and then we say no. And it could be this back and forth and back and forth and.
so there's two instances that I think of off the top of my head that makes the P and Z particularly vulnerable in your decision making, and that's when you're given a lot of discretion by Connecticut general statutes. One is subdivision or a re-subdivision, because it's a very much a case by case where you
Sure.
can have a waiver. And someone might say, I'd like to waive, very particular things about a steep slope or something along those lines. And then your IHC, where they're saying, I would like a waiver for density. The whole impetus of the IHC, if you can think through sort of the reasoning behind the legislatures that created this years ago, was to create affordable housing. So in keeping with the spirit of the
It gives us
law,
flexibility.
I would certainly feel confident that if you, as a commission, had granted a waiver for the purposes of affordable housing, if it ever were questioned in the court of law, that favoritism would probably be given to the municipality in keeping with the importance of affordable housing.
But this doesn't mean that this says the density requirements may be waived. So this does not mean that if an entity hits 100%, they automatically get it.
Correct.
If they, we may do it under that
Yeah.
pretense.
And again, it puts a lot of decision making
Yeah.
on all of you, which is why where statutes allow for this discretion, it opens you up the most. Those are the instances when you're waiving a rule for the purpose of working outside of the box that you're given to work in.
Yeah.
It's just inherent in that action.
If we're very specific in a density waiver tied to the development standards, that is specific for this one part of our reg, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect,
It's very specific to
Specific.
the IHC with
Perfect.
density. Yeah.
great.
We don't hit on. I'm not sure where that 14 comes from first. Is that just kind of a random number?
From the application
Our original 2013.
that you had mentioned last meeting
Yes.
in this.
I was thinking that's what it was, but when you do the math, let's just say that my issue is there's the cap or the maximum that we now allow on a piece of property. Well, if you go by that, hypothetically, you could have 189 units in that 13.5 acres, if that's what you're referring to in the 14. So I think we need to at least discuss and maybe consider a cap within these IHZ zones. And that actually then puts a little bit of a restraint on the waiver as well.
Yeah.
You're gonna be limited if it's already set at a certain number. And I think it has to be set per application, per IHZ. And to your point earlier, we may not see another one coming at us, but I think the cap aspect is important.
And
It alleviates a lot of issues otherwise.
Doug, now that you're saying this, I may not have even, my Housatonic math may not have helped me calculate this, because I am seeing density per acre. So if we wanna just say, and that's where we can get rid of that label and say maximum density allowable.
Yeah.
Rather than, maximum required density is a very weird way of saying something, but maximum allowable density, and then not having it in this per acre and just having it 14 units. That's what I intended to do. And I'm glad that we're reviewing
Thank
this
you,
all
Doug.
together.
That was a good catch. It was.
Yeah, great catch.
And
That was my intention.
yeah, no, that's exactly what I want. Let's make sure it's even.
Is 14 that number from that original?
It is, exactly.
Okay. I didn't have a copy of it. I know, it was posted, I think. Cool. So does that make sense? Maximum allowable density, and then there is the ability to grant the waiver.
So the only question I have. I like this much better. So when you go back to the email we got, that was not clear whatsoever from the state. He had something in his email about something. That's how clear it was, but it was something to do with this density, but they had.
That guy and
wrong.
that thing.
It was really,
With the words.
it was really wonky.
So I think and what I've seen you as a group do really well is make sure that your regulations serve you as a tool in your decision making. So I think regardless of what was said, the more clarity that you find as a group that you can pass along to future commissioners, most likely the better. It's my intention before the commission ever goes to public hearing with any amendments that this does get sent to the state
Sure.
to tell them we are well aware that we have an IHZ zone. We're looking to clarify some questions that have come up. If this is the suggested amendments, please let us know if this is
Yeah.
at all at odds with the original application, just so that you as a commission understand that you're in good graces. But his suggestions to me was basically saying, this is the framework that we've given you. You figure it out locally.
Right.
That was my takeaway from the non-answers to the questions.
They also tell us that we do have the ability to change regulations at any time as we go under the state. I think, as far as all this goes, I would be comfortable or would like to see some verbiage plugged in that basically says this group, the P and Z, has the option with each application to set a cap or not, or whatnot. A limit of some sort, without having to define it, because it's based on the application coming at you that, each time.
I think that makes a whole lot more sense, because, I mean, the number 14 feels very random when we're talking, 2 acres, are we talking 50 acres?
Well, this was very specific.
Well, I know that
for this
was
piece of property,
For that,
so.
but that's a
I do-
specific
No, but so I
project.
do like that idea of coming up with some other language,
I
because
agree,
we were very, 14 was for this.
exactly.
And if all of a sudden someone wants to develop 150 acres somewhere else, I hate for them to be.
But the IHC wouldn't be applicable anywhere else.
Well, if they all of a sudden found a way to put an overlay there, would we want to change, would we make our 14
We
then?
would be putting the overlay.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, okay, so
Gotcha.
this goes with this overlay. For this
So,
zone.
because this is all we have, but
This-
it's a very good point.
A
that you
very
made.
good
Well,
point.
yeah,
that's.
yeah.
So the IHC
How
was,
to-
yeah,
How to bridge that. Because it was particular to one,
particular project.
so when we
Yes.
go. If we go to another spot.
That's what I was nervous about, how if we're limiting it to a specific number, how does the effect change? But if we have waivers or we have abilities, then we do have. I guess we don't, it's 100%, so it's tricky.
Well, and I'm wondering, should the number be the same for both single family detached and duplex and
Yeah,
townhouse stock,
that's fair.
right?
That's
Should-
fair.
Should the single family detached be a lower number,
Lower.
or the townhouse duplex be a higher number?
Mhm.
or should, to Doug's point, it not even
Hold on.
be in there
Yeah,
and just be density requirements, basically saying, in accordance with. And it's always gonna tie in for your infrastructure, because
Yeah.
especially for this particular location, there's no public sewer and there's no public water.
Right.
So even leaving it up to what's workable on that site. The point. There was a lot of talk around the number of units that the application set forth and aligning that cap because of the comment that came from the public around, I think it was managing expectations for the community.
Very much so. And there was also another number tied into that. It was 14 units and 27 bedrooms. There were 2 numbers involved in that original application.
Mhm.
So it's not just 14 units. It was actually a bedroom. Word restriction. I don't know what the
Yeah,
regulation as well.
luckily as P and Z, we don't have to think in bedrooms. Thankfully,
Okay.
Yeah,
But it
but
was part of the original
yeah,
application, so I didn't
good
know where that
detail.
number needed to be represented.
Yeah, no, it's a good detail. It's probably based on sanitary.
Yeah.
Option.
Wastewater
Yeah.
analysis.
Right,
Yeah.
so that was what I was sort of curious about.
No,
So
good
I didn't
point.
know if that number needed to be part of this
No,
as well.
I mean, it depends
I
if the,
promise I'm gonna get
if the
you.
commission,
Just relax, Jandy, we're gonna do this work and then we'll get to you, I promise you.
my
I
under,
promise you, and if we have to redo our conversation, we're more than willing to do so.
up to you guys, my understanding when I was given the direction to review this was to align with what the application said, but certainly up for discussion.
Okay.
Any other commissioners with thoughts on that at the moment? Jandy, please.
At the top of that column, it says dwelling units per acre. 14 is not the number of dwelling units per acre.
We
We
understand.
already
we already
said we
talked about
changed
that.
that.
Yeah,
We
we
already
already
discussed that.
Yeah.
So what is it going to say about the acreage? Because that does make a difference.
It's not gonna say
That's what
anything about
It's not gonna
acreage.
say anything about acreage at all.
That's, we're just.
We changed it to
Yes,
maximum allowable density. And removed any connection to acreage.
Well, let's think about math. You can't give a number unless it is per something. It has to be per something.
Well, we're doing per IHC.
You know, I mean, if you say there's 1 tablespoon of baking soda in this recipe, per how many cups of flour has to be part of the recipe. You can't just say 14 in any size site. You've got to say 14 or what number it is.
We absolutely can say per IHC zone.
Yeah, we can say in the
Absolutely.
entire zone, we can dictate per zone, we can decide.
And
the
that's,
maximum density.
you make a very valid and good point though, because that's what's tripping us up. So we kind of are agreeing with what you're saying, but
But the
but
acreage of,
disagreeing at the
but the
same time.
acreage of the
Because density,
IHC is gonna be different in different plans.
and that's what we're.
And that's what we're trying to
Right,
figure
that's what
out
we're
is if
wrestling with.
going future thought, what does that really mean?
Because a
That's why
little,
we're
a little bit
discussing
of the issue really
We
is
might need to use the acre.
looking at this particular, our original IHZ zone is, there's a lot of acres, but it's not all developable. Where we could look at another project, another, I don't mean project, another zone, site that could be zoned, that could be all developable.
So could you
So-
just say per buildable acre?
You just say buildable
I mean,
area.
The problem really is, in my opinion, is in the 2013 application for the IHZ, we had a maximum for the entire IHZ as 14 units and 27 bedrooms.
It wasn't.
It was, I have the documentation from 2013.
It's in the,
It's in our last week's minutes. I have all the documentation at home from the actual, I have minutes that I wrote from those meetings, so I can go back to it and show it to you, but, so I think that's what we're trying to determine as our group is the entire IHZ had these parameters originally put on it, and now we're trying to figure out how to make sure that they both are right in our regs as well as the original application.
So we, go ahead.
That wonky letter was the thing that said, no, that's not so. That's one of the things, but it wasn't well done. It was a very ambiguous letter. Very badly written, but that's what it was saying. And that's what Jocelyn had said too.
Can you just make that last statement one more time for me?
They said that 14 was not the maximum. But I've got to say, the likelihood of doing another IHC in this town is so slim, you wouldn't believe. Because the only place that they could find to do it, when they tested all the land, did the perk test, looked at all the lands that people had said they would donate. The only one is the one with everything.
And I was part of that from the way even back further than that. However, we don't know that there's not a property owner that
That might
has
become available.
250 acres and they wanna, they're really passionate and they wanna move forward
That's-
with the future passing along of that land for that purpose, and that's kind of where I think we're trying to future-proof while going, we're doing a time lapse, right? We're going back 13 years, but we might be going ahead 13 years. So, but, and that's kind of the whole idea of density building, right? Is, I mean, we don't allow that kind of dense building elsewhere in town.
Well, we're talking
So,
about 14 units on 10 acres already.
yes,
So that's already dense housing.
no,
Because you're only gonna develop 10 acres for your building on that.
No, 5.
And that's even. So I'm even more nervous if you're only gonna develop 5, and there's another potentially 2 or 3 that another person can develop. I wanna make sure that you don't get 14 and then someone else can't do what they wanted to do. So I think we have to, that's why we're trying to come up with exactly what we think is the number for the whole thing, because if you're only gonna develop 5, I wanna make sure that everyone gets their rights. That's why we're trying to come up with
yeah, I
14.
just want to hit the brakes here a little bit, because the parcel that, and I don't know where it stands, but that was to be transferred from to the housing trust was bigger than 5 acres. It was,
It's 10
It's
acres, but
10
the
acres.
buildable part.
no, yeah, I just
Okay,
want
it
to,
was 10, okay, that was right.
Can't. If the whole point of the IHZ is to do multifamily, as Greg said, unusual to the zoning in these small towns. If you're envisioning 14 units on 5 acres, individual units, then yes, it's not good. But if you've got,
Well, we're talking townhomes, so that's 2
No, we're
units per,
we're not talking townhomes.
I thought that's what we saw as part of the site plan. Didn't we see
They-
that?
They're quadplexes. They're not townhomes at all.
Five buildings.
Got it.
5 buildings, 2 of the buildings have 2 units in them. So it looks like a house that somebody's added a wing to. And then the other 3 are 4 units each, and they look like houses that have had wings added. So it's very in keeping with the character of this area. And actually,
That's 8,
our architect,
10,
it's
that's 10 units on your
16.
16 units.
And it would have worked architecturally with the original, it didn't work with the community, but it would have worked architecturally by our architect who has done a lot of this type of housing, working with the state to have on that same 5 acres. And there was nothing against doing 28 units except that the community didn't like it for some good reasons and for some fantasy myths. You know, that they thought everybody was gonna be a drug dealer from Waterbury.
but we don't need to go to that
Well,
part.
I don't
because we're
think
not-
we'd have to disparage people from Waterbury.
And I think what we also have to be concerned about as well is the burden on the community for these buildings and the tax burdens that they're gonna come. So I think it's really important that we come up with some sort of cap or maximum density or something, because if all of a sudden it could be 28 units and 40 bedrooms, then that's a very different ballgame.
It's definitely a difficult. I mean, I think, for the time being, we understand what we're trying to accomplish. It's just how we get there. So in other words, we want to. Everybody's making a great point. Janie made a great point about if you define it per acre, it's a little bit more user friendly to go somewhere else. Maybe. In my opinion, maybe.
I don't wanna make it a per acre thing. I really feel that we need to keep this as the entire IHC. And this is what the IHC is right now, and I'm concerned about changing that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if this donor 13 years in advance puts 250 buildable acres and we have the appetite and the need and the public support, the planning and zoning at that point maybe could. Hence go back to the density waiver, right?
Always.
Always.
So,
But we can also redo our reg at that point if we felt the need to, and if it was part of the P O C D and the community wanted it, I don't think that we could do this just again.
kind of go backwards,
It
but I
would,
think there's.
yeah, it would be
out.
quicker to grant a waiver just from a procedural.
Well, totally, I was just saying if we had to, we can just do this again.
I just
But I'm nervous
think
about
the-
changing the number.
I just think if you stick with what was originally, in the application, the appetite of the town at that point. With the density waiver in a different IC zone. It's I think a good way for future planning and zoning to deal with.
Yeah, I don't see IHZ zones being the tool of the future.
Yeah,
I don't
I know, but we have to sort of treat it.
Can we have bedrooms as part of that, or we can't?
I mean, if you want to, I'm not going into built units counting bedrooms. And I don't look at floor plans.
No, I understood
Yeah.
that. I just didn't know because it was part of the original.
I mean, the thing I would look at would be Torrington Area Health Approval, which does tie to bedrooms.
Okay.
So my understanding is the application was specific to the number of bedrooms because of the due diligence when
Perfect.
the application was
I just want to
submitted.
make sure somewhere it's.
That's, yeah,
Cool.
that's my understanding.
Right. If we put a waiver in for density, can there be waivers in these other spaces as well, like for setbacks or any of that?
So as mentioned earlier, when we get to, just to go back, it's on number 3. I think it's page 1, 2, 3, 4, Stephen. There are other abilities for waivers. I was going to make sure that the language in here aligns.
Perfect.
My understanding is in IHZs, and this is very specific to IHZs, that there can be, and I took this directly from statutes. There, oh, sorry, I didn't number it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 3. This was directly from statutes. Upon the request of the applicant in writing, the commission may waive dimensional standards, setbacks, lot coverage, parking ratios, and road design standards in the interest of design flexibility, overall project quality. And upon the finding of the following, I'm going to rework finding of the following, just because I don't think that actually aligns with the statutes, but the waiver elements do.
Right, because I think frontages and stuff, we should be able to be a little more flexible with, because if all of a sudden a rear lot or access to and stuff, I just want to be a little more flexible with that. So I didn't know, I just want to make sure we could get out of that somewhere later. Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Well, it's, yeah.
So, when we're close to the end, you wanna just, push to the end and then we'll kind of probably call it a night on this topic for.
Love it.
Does everybody agree that we should add in a verbiage of some sort to cover us for future as far as max?
That's my opinion,
Is that
discussion.
a motion to be made, or is it as an amendment? How does?
I don't think we need a motion at this point. I think it's just more suggestions to Janelle, because we'll get another reworked draft.
I'm not clear on where you're going on this one.
Yeah, well, I don't know that we're clear either,
I
but
don't
let's
think
for
you
now,
are.
let's go with the 14 units allowed, and I think we all just need more time to.
Sleep
Well,
on
and
it.
that waiver could go either way, right?
Yeah.
You could waive it to go less, you could waive it to go more.
No one would waive it to
Density.
go less.
No,
Yeah.
because we're
Good
setting,
point.
we're setting a max.
True. So you would waive it to go more.
Yes.
So, okay.
But it's a max, so if someone were to come in under the max,
That's,
you could,
That's up to them.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Or if a particular project could be here, not to muddy this water, but what if a particular property can support that? Well,
Correct.
of course, Torrington Area Health, it would be a Torrington Area Health issue. Really more than our issue.
Yeah. But they're not wed to 14. They could certainly go 4 or 10 or 12.
Right.
For ask for 16 with a waiver.
Good.
There's a great incentive to go with 8 and no more, because it's more than 8 units that makes development have to have its own water company. So what Janelle is saying about the Torrington area health is, of course, really important. It's got to have room for the septic and all that too. But for instance, ours, we have to have our own water company. Somebody only doing development of 8, we're not.
Is it,
Oh, that's.
is it 8 particular to that particular property, or is it just the number 8 for any property?
My understanding, now I've never done one with 8, but my understanding is that 8 is you probably know this because of your.
Well, the only thing I'm aware of is the Torrington Area Health improves based on the number of bedrooms.
Yeah.
And we have been informed by Keith Podwell that the maximum that we could provide on our site would be 20 bedrooms, or we would have to cross over into that, providing the water company work.
I think it's site specific. I think. I've seen public water for 4 units in other areas, yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Okay, thank you. All right, so we went through dimensional requirements. I think you just went to what, 25 feet, if that's what we're proposing?
Frontage,
Or am I reading that wrong? Did you change it? I don't know what I got changed. I can't
no,
remember what's
I
crossed out,
know.
what's
I
not.
believe it was at 50
And we went to 25.
and I reduced it to
Yeah.
25 and I do not know why.
You wrote deleted 5.
No, I left a 2 and a 5.
Hmm.
It's hard to read, but I'm not quite sure the rationale. If you want to leave it at 50, by all means. It's the frontage. So it's your building, it's your width. I mean, why not leave it?
Agricultural AR zone is 50. Yeah. That's
Stick with what we have.
Yeah, I think we stay.
Yeah, good point. Sorry. Didn't mean to throw a
Yeah.
fast one in there.
it's just a test.
It was a test. Everything else on there, same building design. Some of I read it now and since we're cleaning this up and we're going a little deeper than I thought, there are some things I would like to change, like design with an architectural character that fits the town. I have no idea what that means. Should contain details as cornices, brackets, like
Yeah.
we are never getting into this aesthetics. So why start now? Window shutters and columns. It's like, why?
All of that.
So my thought is get rid of A. I mean,
Just read what the whole.
again,
Whatever you think.
we're not aesthetic police.
E, F,
Yeah, none of this, all of it gone.
G,
Since when do we have an architectural design review board?
H. Yeah, no, all of it. Get rid of all.
Yeah, I would get rid of all of it. Lighting, we're aligning that with dark sky, outdoor
Please.
illumination. Landscaping, I want to simplify. So in addition to new planting, existing mature trees, and I'm gonna say of a caliper of 12 inches, because that would signify it's been alive for several years. Should be preserved to the maximum extent practical and be notated on the site plan. And then site design shall include a variety of landscape elements, including street trees, evergreen shrubs, perennials and annuals. Native species are encouraged, invasives are prohibited, and then just get rid of C, because that's way too much.
Yeah.
Trees shall be a minimum of 3-inch caliber measured at 0.4 feet above grade at time of planting, have root supports for a year. If the evergreen trees, they shall be a minimum of 7 feet tall at the time of planting. I mean, I understand they don't want trees to die, but I think it's just all landscape planting shall be guaranteed for a period of 1 year. And I think between having A, B, and then also all landscaping planting shall be guaranteed for a period of a year, we have C. And then stormwater management, any IHD shall comply with the applicable stormwater management guidelines as mandated by DEP, and it's as amended, because they do change, they've recently changed.
I'm assuming that's supposed to be number 5.
Yeah,
Okay. And,
Thank you.
and once we do all of the content, the more meaningful stuff, I would, if I'm allowed, love to format it properly for you. I do that all the time. I can do it quickly because some of it's formatted great, some of it, I know it's what you inherited. I'd
Do you
be
wanna
happy to.
do the?
Over time. it can help with it. Yeah,
Over time,
because,
I wanna get away from the regulations that we're in. And if this becomes the first thing that we kind of rejudge the
Yeah.
format, and then we keep going with the format that we do for IHC,
Yeah.
I'm very much open.
Okay.
Once we have a template, it's great, and we can
Absolutely.
just,
well, because I find it just, it's not easy to read it and it's not easy to read what you need and all that. But again, that's consequential compared to the content. But so when we get all that done, I'd be happy to help.
I think for too long, we've just sort of worked with what we had. And
I
think,
get it.
yeah,
yeah.
I think it's time, now that the P O C D is kind of,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Happy to
Thank
do
you for
that.
doing all that.
You're most welcome. Yeah. So some decisions still to be made. But I'll rework some of the language.
So, entertain a motion to, continue. Do we make a motion to continue?
No. That's cute.
I just want to keep it alive. I want to make sure you always make me.
So one thing I do wanna bring up,
Why don't we
Ray,
bring it down?
is Janelle and I won't be here next month.
Oh, I'm going to be,
Oh,
I rearranged my schedule.
well, now make me look better, cause I am not rearranging my schedule. Okay, perfect, so you guys can do it next month. I was just saying we might not be able to do it next month.
I won't be here next month, if that matters.
So we definitely won't be able to do it.
So if we'll, if anything, please look at the new draft
Yeah.
and send it on.
Will do, I can do it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what I can do is I can send that out ASAP. For those of you guys that won't be here,
So I'll
so
be
I can
leaving.
have your written comments before the meeting.
So,
That'd be awesome.
that'd be great.
Oh, perfect. And then rather than make a cute motion, why not just suggest that we add this now as a perma?
Yeah.
As perma on the agenda under old business,
Yeah.
and we could put it under A and bump everything down.
Perfect.
So,
Can we get anything off
That's cute.
of the old business list? Cause it's getting way too long.
Yeah. It's cute. No, you-
it shows that we're doing a lot of old stuff, it's great.
That's cute, you know.
We're gonna start. We're cute.
Okay,
All right, moving on, old business, new business, item B, site plans renewal for River Road Plains. So we have the site plan, Janelle has the site plan, but
the most recent,
if you recall, this is.
2025, stand by. There you have it.
So we received a letter from Jason Nelson, asking for this renewal. Everybody will call. Fell through the cracks and we went through the exercise year of renewing this. So now it's just that annual renewal. Do it until like 30% of something is done.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that.
Split up sometime.
Yeah, keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah, here we go.
So we'll people look at it and see if there's any questions or comments. This as a, just to go back, this is, we approved this, what? 2 years ago.
Yep, May of 2025. So for site plan approval and expiration, an approved plan shall become null and void unless construction of building is in progress and not less than 50% of the building foundations are completed within 1 year of the date of approval of such plan, or an extension of time is granted by the commission in writing. I'd suggest that the commission grant a term that maybe is longer than a
Yeah.
year.
That's what I was gonna say, is there a time longer than a year you would like us to do the renewal? Just to cover you?
Well, first, is this a renewal or an extension?
It's
Yeah.
a renewal.
A renewal?
Mhm.
Okay, so I wasn't sure what Dave actually asked for and whether it was the right. So I think to do it for a year is reasonable. At a year past the May. Starting in May, the year starting May. Because it's very likely that we'll be at the 50% point that Janelle just described, and that's. I think you said 50% of foundations, isn't
Yeah.
that right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's not far off.
Okay.
I think we're okay for a year, but thanks for asking.
Okay, so that would make it 5/20,
Do you need math? Do you need who to talk math with that? Any questions on renewing this site plan?
There's no changes to what we've already approved.
No changes were
There-
mentioned.
No changes, so in the event that changes need to occur, because that sometimes happens in the field.
Sure.
Things change over time, funding changes, we hit ledge, things happen, they would have to come back before the commission as a modification.
May I ask you a question, Janelle?
Mhm.
If there were architectural changes that we'd come back and bring.
When
to
you say architectural, if it's purely aesthetic, that's not significant to the site plan.
Okay.
What's approved on the site plan, which is all zoning, not the aesthetic, but where the placement of the buildings go in relevance to the property lines, the setback, the road layout, the lighting, the elements on this plan.
Okay,
But if you're like changing the veneer of a particular building, that was never under the P and Z's purview.
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This site plan has 16 units.
Understood.
So we are approving a site plan with 16 units, even though we are looking at our regs in a different way. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, the question had popped in my mind. It was,
No, so
I hadn't come up with a good answer in my head.
we've already accepted it, so we're extending it. I'm fine with all of it. I just wanted to state that we are accepting something with 16.
So the regs that are effective today are the regs that the
Yeah.
site plan was approved under and that are effective in this very moment at 8:03 PM on.
Yep, just wanted
What
to,
time?
just wanted to say it.
8:03.
I'm not facing.
Make sure to switch mid.
And in the event that the regulations were to change, bear in mind, this is
Pre-existing.
pre-existing
Yep,
approval.
yep, I just wanted to say that for everybody. Great.
Next question over here.
Hold on. Go ahead, Tim, and then Bob will get you.
Timeline, you said you thought in a year you would have progress building how far?
Well, it's
A year from,
a year from May.
right?
I don't think we have to extend it longer than a year because I think we will have 50% construction of the.
Foundations.
Tell me if I'm,
Done.
because it's not 50% construction of all the buildings.
Right.
It's foundation.
It's only the foundations, and my understanding is the foundations are all gonna go in at one time because we can just build on slabs.
Yeah, you're gonna pour pads.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna be too long after. I think, hope that a year will be enough, and if it
If
isn't,
not, we'll just do
we
it
just
again.
ask for another one.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Oh,
I'm sorry to trouble the question. Habitat's two properties there. One is 66 acres, the other is 14 of the 66-acre property. 10 is what was transferred to the Falls Village Housing Trust. Does the IHZ follow the remaining 54 acres that was the original part of the designation of the IHZ?
That's what I was trying to say.
The reason I'm asking that is because if this regulation bears on there being a maximum of 14 units, they would have to go for a waiver, and then we would have to go for a waiver too. Obviously, if we had an ambition to construct 5 duplexes, which is 5 more structures, so is that am I hallucinating here, or is it?
yeah, I think
I think that's part of what we're trying to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we also want to put the waiver in there so that we can have discretion as well.
Because originally, going back to 2013, we never envisioned that the discussion had not shown up, or, you know, the overlay zone was on the full acreage.
Yeah, we never expected
Together.
multiple nonprofits to come in and do multiple projects. We assumed it was gonna be an entire project. So that's why now, after you guys brought us this information, I think that that's why we're trying to figure out what we need to do for the community.
But you understand, that's why I was saying per IHZ isn't really fair. That per acre is fair. That's really what's telling you what density is. And that's why I was trying to explain, it's not a 10-acre IHZ, it was much bigger. Remember?
Right, and we also put the restrictions of 14 units and 27 bedrooms on the entire 84-acre property.
When you say we did it, you're talking about
From the original 2013 application that went to town meeting and was presented and accepted by the town and by the commission at the time, was for the entire property as one IHZ with 14 units and 27 bedrooms. I was on the board, I was part of all those meetings, I was even on the Affordable Housing Commission in the town during that entire time.
That's not how Pat McCare remembers it, but
Pat McCare took it over from me. I was doing it well before she went, so I can help you with
This
all
is
of
the
that.
original application.
It
It
is.
states it about 6 or 8 times, 14 units, 27.
It says it all throughout, and really Jocelyn should have known that because she assisted through the entire process for us in the COG. I was working with her and Dan, right? Wasn't Dan the guy back then? I was working with Dan a lot for almost a decade on affordable housing. So that's why we're getting back to this. When all of a sudden you were saying 16 and he was saying 7, 5, all of a sudden that became just a bigger number than we ever anticipated on that acreage. So that's why we are having these discussions now, once we understood what you guys were planning on using with the property, because in 2020, during that winter, those meetings where those first yellow buildings were all presented, that was still one IHZ, one property. So we were even in 2020, we were dealing with it as one space, not multiple opportunities.
yellow.
Those big yellow buildings in 2020 with the roads and the driveways, and that was
the renderings.
I'm just saying that was part of what we were doing in 20. Right, I was going to say in 2020, we did a proposal on the entire project. So that's where we were basing our ideas off of. You came a few months ago in the fall, and now it's 2 projects. That got us a little nervous, and that's why we're here today. To try to figure out numbers and percentages.
Okay, we're gonna move on though,
So
because we're trying, we will be continuing this next month. And
And just for the record, because we are some numbers oriented, it looks like the application references 66.1 acres. And developable land being 13.5. That,
2013.
yeah,
so
okay.
that's.
Yeah, because our intentions is to sell the 14-acre parcels plus the remains of the 56 acres that we don't utilize, which will potentially be 2 to 3 acres to construct what we're trying to construct. So that's why we're trying to get back at, figure out what kind of density we should direct our engineers to work with, even in talking to TAHD. In terms of actual development of the project, so that we can come to actually do this final division. Because we have a third party involved, which is the Northwest Connecticut Land Conservancy, who intends to take
To buy their
the 14 acres plus then roughly 53 acres.
Sounds it.
Great.
I think it's, yeah, I think that's right. And certainly, and I don't want to speak for this commission because I'm not a decision maker on this commission. I only staff and system, but with the open space component of the remaining developable land and the development proposal that the commission has very preliminarily looked at. It seems like the commission, and again, not to speak for them, my understanding from that takeaway is the pre-application were amenable to the proposal, provided what was very preliminary presented before you.
But I think we still need to look at it once we start getting rolling, but yes.
Always, yeah, that was super preliminary, so.
Moving on. Thank you. Site plan renewals where we're at. Actually, we come backwards, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, who's running this meeting? Site plan renewal. We all had a chance to look at it. The applicant believes the 12-month period is more than enough. If not, it's not a big deal. They can just ask for another renewal. So unless somebody has something in particular, I'll take a motion. Either to renew it or not to renew it, or the choices. Yeah.
Motion to renew.
Is there
For
a
1 year
reference
period?
he should use a reference here?
Motion to renew, I'd say it's the site layout, it's the site layout map for River Road Homes revised to. And this actually, what's more revised to? Revised to
Yes.
8/22/24. I'd use that revised to. What would say revised to? 8/22/24.
We seen that.
So,
Oh.
yeah. So it's the site plan dated 5/29/2020 revised to 8/22/24.
Okay, motion to accept, or to renew the site plan from 5/29/2020. And updated 8/22/24.
Betty, you're good on that?
Yeah.
You go second on motion?
If you want.
Steven second. Any
That was
discussion?
Tim and Steve.
Is there any discussion on that? All in favor?
Did we put a date of the extent? Did we say to 27,
Yeah, that's a good point. We did 2027. Is it just a month?
5/20/20, it's 5/22/2027.
Perfect. So it's until May 22nd of 2027.
Perfect. All in favor?
Right.
Approve or opposed? So. New member.
I would love to have Kathy join us as a full member of the commission to replace the ending of Vince's term, so it'll be a fresh new term. Can we do it by this meeting, or is it by approval of the Board of Selectmen?
They don't approve.
So I think because you have 30 days.
They
to-
appoint, we suggest.
So if you have 30
Oh,
days,
really?
you have 30 days to fill a vacancy. So I'm not sure,
Well, I believe that we do not need their approval to move alternate to
So,
permanent member.
okay.
I should double check that, but that's my understanding.
So then I make a motion to have Kathy start her term March 26th of 2026. It is a 5-year term, right? For
5 minutes.
for regular members, so her term would go from 2026 to March 26th of 2031.
That's scary numbers.
Yeah, it is great on there.
You guys second on that motion?
Second.
See ya.
We just need to write a letter to the Board of Selectmen stating that we're doing that. Because we are sort of under the purview of this thing. It just because of appointed positions, I think.
for
we should-
vacancies in accordance with statutes, you have 30 days within your own authority to fill. And then if not, you have to go to your Board of Selectmen.
No, I appreciate that. I just thought we
Yeah.
should just write them the letter saying, hey, we're
Yeah,
putting
no, I'm not
Kathy
saying
on
it, just
and.
so you understand you're right.
Yes, no, I wasn't saying we had to go to them for approval. I just want to make sure we notified them of appointment. Got it.
It's very thoughtful that the Board of Selectmen and the Planning and Zoning Commission operate relatively independently,
Okay,
just for various
Sure.
political reasons, as you I'm
Right.
sure are very aware.
and thank you, Kathy, for wanting to do it. So, do we need a motion? Does it need to be official or are we just ready to go?
Did the motion in a second already.
So, do we have to,
We have to vote.
Okay.
If we're finished with discussion. Are we finished?
yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? You can't oppose.
I didn't know if I could vote yes.
Thank you.
All right, old business, village center parking plan, solar committee update, old firehouse sale. We are going to keep on for next meeting.
We are?
Yeah, we are.
Keeping these on?
We are.
No progress on any of it.
What?
Yeah, nothing reportable.
That's,
Dark skies.
pick it up.
The letter's fantastic.
Those have gone out.
Yes.
Eversource was responsive.
Question about the
They
letter?
forgot that they own property in the center of town. And then they came back and reminded me that they did, so that was interesting. They did make the argument that it was for security purposes because of recent theft. And I don't think I chimed in that a lot of studies say that like intermittent light is more helpful. We'll see what comes of it. Down where the very imposing chain link fences, there's nothing in the fence, so I hope they don't need those lights.
Those have
right
been,
now.
well, at least my morning and evening drives past there, it's been off.
They have,
Great. I've
they,
seen
they,
them all.
well, she wrote in her email that they were gonna decommission that until revisit it, upon which time they may make it an active storage
Perfect for
site.
the pollinators that
Yes.
are hopefully hatching right now.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, and then the one that I have yet to send out was for Lee H. Kellogg. I believe I was waiting on a contact.
Okay. So we do the principal. Since you're
I don't
gonna do the
know the
principal, I
name
think it's
of
gonna be the
that
principal.
person. I
Yeah.
have 0 children in the Lee H. Kellogg school system.
Thank you for the clarification. Was not asked.
Thank you for doing the letter. It's
No
great.
problem.
Now we at least have a form letter.
Yeah, and I did get positive feedback. The resident in proximity to the South Canaan Meeting House is overjoyed, so.
Great, Mark. I hope it helps.
You know, and I just wanna clarify that. It's, you know, like the request for the South Canyon Meeting House wasn't. They didn't have to shut it off.
Oh, no, it's a voluntary
was-
thing. It's informative.
But beyond that, though, it was more a request to not leave it on overnight. And, you know, I feel as though that may have been misconstrued through some communication back to, not directly, but kind of to Janelle a little bit anyhow.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, you know, it's not taken away from, it is beautiful lit up. But we're just asking for it to be beautiful lit up from a reasonable time, 10 PM till
Sure,
6 PM.
3, 4 AM is the best time to see it.
Yeah, but Matt is the only one enjoying
I
it.
guess no one else, I've been out there.
Yeah.
You know what, to your point though, Greg, it might help just to include an excerpt from the regulations so that someone can read them, so that they
They don't
see.
think it would.
And the graphics help, because it just shows down shielded,
Yeah.
so I'll do that.
Right. And she's 72. Okay, any questions on dark skies? P O C D implementation subcommittee updates?
Yeah, so we've been poking the bear quite a bit and getting some response,
Yeah.
which is great.
I love it.
We're on the calendar for both the rec committee on April 8th. And the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, April 13th. To present and, you know, sort of at least meet and greet and whatever, and offer whatever we can do to help. So it's good. Haven't heard from others yet, but I'll keep poking.
The poking is working. I said that.
I think also what's really important is the main people that are really part of the P O C D are really the three that replied. So most of it is really the finance, the selectmen, and really the rec, because so much of what the town wants is almost exclusively their participation. So
So we'll forgive the zoning board of appeals at this point.
exactly. Thanks for doing all that, Doug, and spearheading that.
Doug, what were those dates? The eighth and
The eighth for the rec committee, the 13th for the
13th.
Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I made copies and passed around the financial report because I neglected to scan it to Janelle to the work. So everybody has it except me now. Oh,
I just think we gotta start paying Patty before she decides to leave us.
Actually. I did fill out my timesheet for the last 2 quarters.
Okay, great, thank you. I just don't want
Do
you
you
to
need
leave.
to sign it?
okay. Do I? Yeah,
Exactly.
Do you?
I will,
Okay,
just to make sure.
I have to have a supervisor sign it.
Oh, God. I don't know how it is. Matt.
We'll make
I'll
Mel
sign
it.
anytime, Patty.
But other than that, I think everything was great.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Moving on to.
Yes, slides are great.
Yeah, well, we did after this.
Excuse me, point of order, you all went dark.
Mhm.
Oh,
Your
with the
camera-
video's gone? All right, let me.
Oh, looks like.
Video is
Thank you.
He's trying to tell us.
Hold on, Coulter, we're having technical trouble.
Or is it the plug
Copy
on?
that. Thank you very much. Just making you
It
aware.
might be the,
I
is it
think
good?
closer, so I'm satisfied.
No, they're just seeing each other. No,
Oh.
we're not.
The D5.
Can you hear us, Coulter?
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
can hear you.
No longer see us?
No longer see, but they can hear, so we can move forward with the hearing.
It's not much audio. Dave keeps promising to replace this, but
Yeah, we're waiting for
you
the
know
new
what?
one.
Thank you.
Should we write them a letter on behalf of planning and zoning?
It's when we get, watch out. At 8:30.
So we did give them our budget with the amendments. Haven't heard anything, which would expect to, is we're still at 0%. We just changed some line items, if you recall. Regulations review, I think is that we'll wait till next.
Sure, yeah, I think.
And then is there something particular?
The letter, we don't have a date at the bottom. So should we come up with a date?
Yeah, that's why.
At least if we do that, we've done something,
Great,
if that's okay.
and that was intentionally excellent,
I figured, but I thought that would be at least some way we could say we discussed it.
awesome.
Do we feel that we wanna, is this just a public hearing before one of our meetings, or is this a separate meeting that we wanna create all on its own?
So it'd be an informational rather than just going straight to the hearings, so that if there's.
Well, but I'm
any-
saying, could a public, an informational thing be part of our normal meeting at like before it or something, or?
I almost feel like it should be on its own. I don't know what others think.
Or
Did
just
you-
to vote, if you're willing, I know we don't have like a overwhelming slew of applications, but if you wanna devote a meeting entirely to. Just your village business residential
That's a good- That's a
expansion,
good option.
and maybe when, people are out and about in town. Early summer, before people take a lot of vacation,
Do a date
So
line.
May or June,
or if you want the fall, it's really your call.
sooner the better, May or June.
So, what's going to happen between now and that meeting is going to be a mailing.
Well, that's why I thought
Yeah.
we should come up with a date, at least then we're
Perfect. Yep, yep.
moving forward with
Yeah.
potential. Do we need to have meetings before we do a meeting? Before we do an informational thing, do we need to have our ducks in a row?
Well, why don't we
Should we
do-
push it further because we need to
Why,
discuss it?
why don't we do a June meeting for
Right.
this, and then we have some brainstorming to work on.
Great.
Is that,
So we'll say an informational meeting at our June meeting.
Great.
Great.
I got you. Yeah. You can double check me. You might get there faster. See, 9. Was it the 19th or the
we're-
26th?
If we're gonna do it at a
25 is
June
listed on the
meeting, can we
printout.
meet a
I'm
little
looking at Fridays. You're right, Tim.
just so we could make
Thank
sure we
you.
have the time?
Great job.
So it's not
You're
necessarily
on a Friday,
6:30,
don't you?
because
Not
that's a
8:30
budget.
yet.
I was thinking maybe, if that's okay with the commission.
yeah, we'll just.
Yes,
do
the
a special
18th
meeting
and
to publish at 6.
Totally, but I just wondered if that's
Which is
how we
fine.
wanted to do it, just to give it time.
Next, six.
Start at 6.
Start at 6 for that June.
Did
meeting.
you hear that?
Yes. I did. Yeah. I'm back on that.
And I had a lot to do, especially
You heard Friday that.
Yeah, special.
super stuff.
I'll be here on Friday.
Thank you, Jenny, for coming.
Thank you, everybody, so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Andrew Deacon.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Great.
Uh,
Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wait, you're not ending the meeting, are you?
Oh, no. We've still got things to go through, don't worry.
We'll let you
Great.
know. We'll let you know.
Thank
Well, I'll let
you.
know.
Thank you.
Bob, we're just getting to the beginning.
It's
The good
We're
stuff.
just getting punchy.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Be well, Richard.
Bye. We'll see you.
Good luck. All right, so we have that piece. Did you want to go over your these? I mean, I'm really fortunate.
Yeah, it's okay. You guys are, it's okay. You've used a lot of brain power on housing.
Can I ask a couple questions? Because I won't be at the next meeting.
Please.
So for the existing regulations for the accessory apartments,
Uh-huh.
section 26G,
Mm-hmm.
the accessory apartment shall be accessible from the main dwelling by an operable door along a common wall.
Yep.
No way. That's crazy. I understand the concept of a basement, but no, it's just not.
So that's why the recommendations are the changes.
Perfect.
Yeah,
And then,
but I'm glad to point out flaws we could get rid of.
great. And then, maintains access to enter and exit, if attached, which is separate and distinct from the primary dwelling. That's sort of how we're
So again,
changing that.
it's all building code,
Okay,
and it's just for safety. So if there ever were a safety incident, that someone can just get out.
I appreciate it. I just
Yeah.
wanted an explanation for those two things. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and those were existing.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's suggested is just that it says maintains access to enter and exit. If attached unit, which is separate and distinct from the primary dwelling unit, whether it's a detached unit, but that's safety.
Totally.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I just wanted clarification.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now that I tried to skip it, hey. Sorry. A special permit for accessory apartment may be subject to renewal.
These were your.
Those are our
existing
old regs,
regulations.
yeah.
So as much as I would love to rehash the past, I'm actually suggesting we get rid of
That
all
entire
of those
thing.
provisions and the language are
Am I missing a
suggested.
page? Like, I don't see the changes. I thought this was a page.
This is for you, since you may have an old copy. So does that help? The recommendations?
It's on the it's separate, like at the
And-
bottom of the document.
Yeah, well, no, I have,
Yeah.
no, I have the right one, but am I missing? one?
No, the following
He's
changes
taking
are
all that.
suggested to make the permitting process simpler and more expeditious. This approach will reduce both the time and financial burden on applicants by eliminating need for special permit. And then it just shows on page 11, within your 2.3 permitted accessory uses will add to the table zoning permit, zoning permit, zoning permit.
Mhm.
And then it's recommended there's no distinction in the permitting process due to size. and or the attached, does that help?
Yeah,
Okay,
totally. I just obviously have used up all my bandwidth. It's very obvious
It's
now.
totally understood, considering what we've.
No wonder I'm
covered.
trying to
If you didn't
skip
say,
them.
Greg, I wouldn't have known.
So it's really simple, it would just be page 11, changing the table, and then page 92, defining it.
And I think that's all perfect. I don't think there needs to be much discussed about it. I think it's all very clear.
Yeah, I was just stuck on the old, I was just stuck in the past.
I know, it's okay, common.
Before you do your ZEO,
Yeah,
I did want to say thank you, whatever letter you sent about whatever, 80 or whatever that was, or 85 Music Mountain. They cleaned it all up. It's beautiful.
Good.
So thank you for writing the letter.
Good.
It looks spectacular.
I'm glad to know they now have someone that's local,
Local.
that isn't coming from Pennsylvania.
Totally. So at least we now have someone who responds. It was
Good,
done in a quick man. It was great. So thank you.
good, because the snow melt reveals all
Everything.
things.
Yes. And now with the Bears coming out again, I wanted to make sure it
Keep me
was.
posted if it
Yes.
changes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
The bear.
you know, the site.
The Bear ripped it all up the last time, so.
The CEO report.
Okay, so, zoning permits to report 41 Prospect Street, that's a deck. Lots of inquiries, some time here in the office, just going through files with various property owners. Some housekeeping as well, some signing and filing of milers on land records. Questions around setbacks, all pretty typical. I did follow up with Housatonic's Learning Lab. You will probably see some of that coming to light this spring, which will be neat to see students doing some agricultural activities in that underutilized field. There was a question around turning a property into a duplex. It is permissible with special exceptions, so we'll see what comes of that. And then again, an inquiry around an accessory apartment. So there are some questions around potential alternative housing options, duplex and accessory apartment. And then some of the miscellaneous is just your outdoor lighting. And there were no public ads to cost the town any money at this time. I do want to note Yukon Clear just came up with some really good training opportunities in some webinars for the near future. I'll circulate that email. There were two of particular interest, and one's the housing bill. And then I can send that out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Those are really great.
The Yukon Clear, they're coming back.
They're really good.
Yeah. And then, of course, we self-report our hours. Everyone's been really great on just letting me know. You are all like above and beyond the training, but it's just good to keep up with it, especially with the housing bill.
Nice stuff, man.
Thank you. I'm excited for the next ones.
Any questions on the CEO report?
I always like seeing Janelle when I sign on.
Public comment? Go ahead, Coulter, you still?
Coulter's gone.
I was
Yep.
involved.
So no more public comment.
And then it is, yes.
Everyone forgot about it?
Mhm.
Wore him out.
They only see till 8:30, and by 8:33, it's over.
When Coulter asked, are we finished with the meetings? Did he hear us?
He
And
could, yes.
he did, okay.
Yeah, because we're still audible, right?
We have audio, no video.
But is Mark still there? 'Cause
Yes,
the-
Mark is
okay.
still here and
Okay.
Mark's there, yeah.
Well, that's-
All right, I guess,
Yeah.
no official correspondence. I don't think we had any official correspondence.
I think
No, but
driving
we
over
always
here-
welcome it.
Yes. Motion to adjourn, 8:34.
Nice job, Dad. Wow, you pulled that.
Doug, did I hear something?
I'd like to stay for a while.
Oh,
Hey, did our pen pal write from Portugal?
No.
Oh, next month, right?
Maybe.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Yeah.
Doug was twisting my arm.
Another thing?
Thanks,
Yeah,
Mark.
that's what you were.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Mark.
The
Anyone
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye now.
Were you opposed?
website needs to be